All right. Think we're live. Let me check over on Facebook. YouTube takes an extra step, unfortunately. All right. We're good. We are live everywhere. Facebook, YouTube. Oh, we're on Facebook, so I can't stream from here directly, so I got to put it there later. But we're good. We're live. We're going to talk about the changes in marijuana with the king of marijuana himself, Soma, who has created the entire upper half of the menu, the stuff that the connoisseurs are after, most of the sativas that we like today. We're going to talk about where they came from, the more dominant indicas from Jack Herrera. We're going to talk with the expert himself, Soma. So thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
Maybe tell us a little bit about a brief overview of your journeys. I know you started out in Florida, well, New York and Florida, and then you moved to Amsterdam. Maybe give us a little bit of that background so that people kind of know where you came from and how you ended up in Amsterdam.
Well, the first place I grew was Vermont, because I used to live in Vermont. And back in 1972, I started growing there.
Okay.
And of course, that's a cold climate, and many things that many cannabis strains that you would want to grow there can't grow because it's too cold, has too short of a growing season. So I had to learn my lesson in the beginning because I planted all these South American seeds that take a long time to finish. And so I ended up getting busted in Vermont with that crop.
Because of the time it took?
The laws were very lenient at the time, but the cops took all those plants. So I wouldn't have got to see them finish good anyway because they were the wrong genetics for there. But I learned my first lesson by getting busted for growing this amazing plant. I mean,
yeah. So
I didn't even know how amazing the plant was.
So you learned the law and the plant together.
But I ended up getting a year of probation, and I got through that, and then I never stopped growing, never.
All right.
And then I eventually moved to Florida, where I grew a lot more because the climate was good. And of course, I got busted there too for growing because every place I've ever, including Holland, I've got busted here for growing too. Every place I've ever been since I started smoking in 1967, I've gotten busted for cannabis.
So people, they must think that in Holland it's totally legal. Now, I know because I lived there, but for our viewers, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about some difficulties in growing even in the Netherlands?
Okay, well, they say that they'll look the other way if you grow only 5 plants outside, not inside, but outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I always grow 4 plants or 5 plants on my roof to stay under that limit. But this climate also isn't so good for cannabis. So you have to find out what genetics will actually work outside here. And it gets a lot of rain too, so you have to figure out genetics that can take the rain and finish fast enough so you can actually enjoy something that you grow outside here. But I've done it the entire time I live here. I never stopped growing a few plants on my roof. And in the past, I grew a lot of black indoor cannabis grow rooms, because that was the only way to do it. It's still pretty much the only way to do it here because even though it's getting legal here in some ways, not in very good ways and not wide enough, leaving a lot of people out in that choice.
Yeah, so
it's always been a struggle here for the 28 years I live here. It's always been a struggle to get good medicine. And I have a prescription for the medicine because of my heart. I have a prescription right from my from my surgeon, my heart surgeon at the hospital. He wrote a paper saying that cannabis is my only medicine, and I totally have a right to use it for my medicine. So, not everybody has that, but I have that. And
I recall you have special permission from the Queen. Is that still in effect? The Queen's gone now,
yeah.
but
Well, the king, but the government says that I'm allowed to have cannabis as medicine.
so even on an airplane, you're allowed to have it, right?
I'd have to make a form. I have to fill out a form first, but I would be allowed, depending on where I was going, what country I was going to. There's several countries in the European Union that I could fly from here to that country with my medicine and not get in trouble.
Yeah, and so consequently, those are the only.
But I have to totally declare it, not hide it. And
so
paperwork for it.
So that makes it really difficult for you as a grower to travel. It's almost impossible. Also because it's your medicine.
Impossible. I've done it a lot by doing that, by getting the paperwork and bringing it with me, and even showing it to the customs, and they say, okay, you can go.
But don't you think that? But don't you think the more places that accept this medically, it'll increase the amount of places that you can go when you have a medical need for it?
I'm sure I can go to Thailand doing that right now. If I filled out all the paperwork and stuff.
Okay.
It's not because right now there's 6,700 dispensaries in Thailand.
Nice.
6,700. So that means there's so much cannabis. There's more than can be consumed right now.
And Germany's legalizing it too, right?
Yeah, and they probably end up getting some from Thailand.
Now, there's a difference in the marijuana that we've got in the U.S. and what you're growing in Europe, right?
In some ways, because it's all about what genetics you're starting with. And these days, there's many hundreds of breeders mixing this, mixing that, mixing this, mixing that, and every single different mixture makes a slightly different end product.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to see what it makes. It takes time. It takes many months to see what your crosses are turning into.
So I've got something here, if you want to see it. I've got something, petrol station is what it's sold as. Let me see if I can get, can you see that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So this is rosin, says petrol station, rosin batter. It's 4 grams. This is, I've smoked a good amount of it. And this is what's left.
Yeah.
What I've got inside.
And I have nice rosin here too.
So,
let me show you.
Am I right to believe that when it's more clear, the more clear it is, generally the better it is? Because there's less plant matter?
It's still relative. It's still...
you got to have a good plant, right? You got to start with a good plant. Oh, that looks beautiful. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks nice. Which one is that? What strain is that?
This is RS11.
All right. RS11. Cool. Let's do a dab together.
Okay.
I got my science rig here. It's got digital stuff on it for me. It's got buttons I can press so I can keep myself busy.
Yeah, this one is very manual in a way.
Uh-huh. I would expect nothing different.
And then
hey, yours was quicker than mine.
Watch out, Jake. Ow. I burnt myself. Hey, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You all right? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay.
But Jake grabbed the charging cord when I had it in my phone, not thinking about what I'm doing over here. Just what you, oh, oh.
How much do you normally dab at once when you put it in there?
Oh, not as much as you're doing.
Yeah, I usually take this guy and I use it almost like a spoon, man. I scoop it up and I put a good amount in there. And
Yeah, well, then you get a really big puff, man. I'm not getting as big of a puff the way I'm doing it. If I do it the way you're doing it, I will. But like this, it's a little bit smaller.
yeah. In my case, I think it's because of the rig I have. The fact that it's held in ceramic and it keeps the temperature nice, it means that it's easy for me to do it this way.
And you have water in there too, right?
I do.
Yeah, I'm doing it dry. See? If you have water, you can do a bigger pit.
So, what do you think about the medical marijuana in the United States? What do you think about the development that they've got going on?
I think it's great. The more freedom and the more expertise that comes into the picture, the better.
You're one of the only people I know, and I always tell people in every market I've ever seen, people, they don't do what they say they do. They do the opposite. If you look at Microsoft doesn't really make operating systems so much as they keep other people from making operating systems. The car manufacturers don't so much as try to make the best car they can make. They make sure nobody else can make a car. They make the process very expensive and very difficult, and then they're like, don't worry about it,
Yeah,
we got it.
And that happens with the cannabis in California and some places too. Same thing.
It's really great to see people like yourself, who are inclusive of others and who are open about different techniques and who speak highly of other techniques. A lot of people, when something isn't exactly what they're doing, they're really quick to just tear it apart. And I'm really glad that, I'm glad to know that you've always been supportive of the industry at large entirely. You've been supportive of people using marijuana medicinally since before the term medical marijuana was on any ballot.
True. And, it's being proven constantly, daily, what good medicine cannabis is and how many good uses it has. And it's just expanding. That's why Germany legalized it. In Prague, Czechoslovakia, we're connected with legal medical cannabis. We are. Soma is connected with legal medical cannabis growing in Prague right now, not against the law. And I got busted in Prague in 2010. I've been busted almost every place I ever got something like this started in.
Yeah, Sunburn in Florida is also run by people that have been busted many times for marijuana. A lot of our dispensaries.
And is that where you get? Where did you get that rosin you had?
Sunburn.
From that. So from a legal facility.
Yep, from a legal facility that was illegal, that started illegally and now is legal.
Right. That's so great. I'm almost jealous of Florida right now because, shit, when I was there, it sure wasn't like that.
No, it was the opposite. I got arrested in Florida. You got arrested in Florida. We all had serious problems, and the cops were not very kind. They were intense.
No, they were. Those cops in Florida, they didn't like me at all in James. I stood out because I had dreadlocks and they knew who I was, and they'd hassle me any chance they could get.
Yeah, we now have people that go around openly selling mushrooms, having psychedelic festivals. It's not really legal, and because I've already once bitten, twice shy, I'm just a consumer now. I'm not gonna. I'm an advocate and a consumer, but I'm not going to be the guy handing people large quantities of anything ever again because
Right.
I've already paid, the price that I don't want to pay again.
You saw the mushroom thing in Canada with Dana Larson. He got his shop reopened again.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So things are things are slowly getting better.
Yeah, you can get a prescription now for ketamine.
Oh, I don't like that stuff. I've never ever done it, but I know people that do it, and I really do not like what I see.
Yeah, I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that it's interesting that there's clinics now that you can get a prescription and they'll prescribe it and they'll use it in a clinical setting.
Wow. Wow.
The idea that they're researching psychedelics.
I never did it, but some of my friends that do it, it disappoints me.
I like it, but I liked it with a limited. It doesn't have a long. Marijuana has a long history of how we as people engage with it, how we interact with it. Ketamine.
12,000 years there too.
That's right. And ketamine's gimmicky. It's a gimmick. It's something to me that's interesting, but I don't consider it anything similar to marijuana because it's not natural, but it doesn't have a culture surrounding it. It's not a way of life and a component in how we can live and better ourselves. So it might be interesting the way all psychedelics can be interesting, because there's something interesting in us that's easily unlocked the second we put ourselves to the side. But
you never tried the bufo, right?
No.
You'd love it. You'd love it.
Do you smoke it?
Yeah, you smoke it. One big puff. It's only 15 or 20 minutes max.
Yeah.
But like, you go so deep.
I heard Jesse say it's like DMT. So I like DMT. I used to be able to get DMT from a lab. It wasn't illegal as long as you had a modification of it, and it was really easy to modify to where it basically was DMT, or you could convert it when you got it. So we were, before 2014, before the analog drug law passed, I was getting DMT pure, and we could just smoke it. I smoked so much DMT, I did love it. We called it psychic bungee jumping.
It helps make you smarter in many ways. That's what I found.
Well, I didn't believe that marijuana was truly medicinal. I thought we just needed it legalized because it didn't harm anybody and it was fun. And I gotta say that now that I have medicinal marijuana, you were right from the beginning. It has changed everything, and I realize only now that I have it consistently, it's a different effect. And having consistency of supply because it's produced by people who aren't afraid that they're going to be shut down is what has driven my ability to regulate with it. So I have much more.
You don't have to be afraid of consuming it.
Right. And so it's taken on a different effect. It isn't the same. When I was breaking a law to do it, that was the overwhelming impact of the experience for me. It was an overwhelming component of doing it. The idea of hiding it, of getting it.
You don't need to produce fear. You don't need to have for the experience.
Now that none of that exists, now that there's no, now that even in business, I can be open about the fact that, I smoke marijuana and I own a business. I don't have to hide those things. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing anything unethical. And to people who think that they do, they can go somewhere else, because I truly believe that this is the way that is conscientious, whether you smoke marijuana or not. My wife doesn't. Most of my friends don't, but they don't have a problem with me smoking it either. So, I'm not suggesting that everybody in the world needs to smoke marijuana. I'm just saying that it shouldn't be penalized for any reason, and we're missing out on further and further medicinal capabilities that you opened me up to.
And not to mention, it helps every economy that it blossoms in.
That's right.
Every economy that it blossoms in with freedom, it helps it.
That's right.
Every single one, including Thailand right now. You can see how much it's helping Thailand with all these 6,700 cannabis dispensaries. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really amazing to see that something, it's harmful to take something out of our ecosystem that was always in it, in a financial sense, in a medicinal sense, in terms of clothing, even making rope.
Food like hemp seed oil and crushed and shelled hemp seed is great food.
Yeah.
Really full of vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, my wife puts them on a lot of salads. We have a hydroponic grow tower with lettuce, and just about every day, even my breakfast this morning, it was chickpeas on some lettuce from the grow tower, and hemp seeds are regular on all of those salads. Little bit of vinegar and oil, and I love it. There's so much flavor when you grow your salad instead of getting it from the store that I now I'll eat salad now like people eat potato chips. I'm watching a movie, I'll cut a head of salad and I'll sit there and eat them like they're chips. I love it.
Nice.
Like the difference was getting, not the bag of salad from the store, but like really growing it yourself.
Yes. Yes. Growing anything yourself feels good. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely were the one to open me up to a lot of that, because I considered myself very scientific, and I liked chemistry, and I felt that I understood chemistry. And I was young and sophomoric, and I realized now that understanding things is more about understanding the questions in them, and that we don't really have any answers. And
understanding yourself.
Yeah.
So many people don't understand themselves. And they're kind of lost because of that. If they don't know where they're going or where they came from. I don't know. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah. I never would have imagined, if you told me that I would be happy back in Florida, I would have been like, no way. And I left in 2004 because I didn't like what was going on with the Iraq War and George Bush Jr. getting reelected. And now I'm back here and it's like 10 times worse. And I don't know. I'm still glad to be here, talking to people, sharing a nuanced conversation with people who don't hear it otherwise. People say all the time when they're talking or watching this show, they're like, nothing else is like that. And, nobody else is sharing, nuanced conversations with two sides of things that aren't just, polarized. I'm like, yeah. I'm good to do that here now. And I travel a lot. I still leave, but being home here is fine.
18 years that I lived in Florida, except for the police problems, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love Florida. I'd go to St. Augustine. I had a chiropractor out there I'd go to like once every 2 weeks or something. And man, I love Gainesville. Gainesville was great, man. I had so many great times.
So now you can take Uber or ride with your wife who doesn't smoke weed, and you can smoke and go anywhere. And like
smoking the Uber, no problem.
That's a gray area.
Okay.
You need to have somebody who's cool with it. It's their car, right?
Yeah, right.
But I've never had anybody say no. I always just ask, and everybody says it's fine. And I even have this. I have a whole rig with me and everything. It comes in a little backpack. Feel like this. A little backpack.
Nice.
I love when the cops came to my birthday party and they said, and everybody we're smoking weed and everything, and the cops are like, yeah, we got a music complaint. And I said, yeah, but all the neighbors are here and everyone was invited. And they said, but it's 4 blocks away. I'm like, valid point. We'll turn down the bass. And they're like, yeah, please. And they left, and I was like, oh my God, the idea that everything is legal, that there's nothing that anybody's doing that's illegal, and that we're all having a great time doing whatever we want, and everything from mushrooms to marijuana, all the natural stuff, the police don't care, or you've got a permit for it anyway. Like in my case, I have a permit. And even if you don't, they don't care unless you're making another problem.
Yes. Nice. That's so nice. I would love to see Florida like that,
It's ironic because it's in the midst of very conservative leadership. So it's really strange that we have, that. But like you said, it's money, and both parties like money.
Yes. Yeah. True.
So I'm most heavily invested in marijuana. And those investments honestly are hurt right now. They're at about 20% of the value where I average invested in them, because they're down because everybody expects marijuana to become descheduled in the United States. Are you familiar with this political debate?
Not sure.
So the problem is that marijuana is still Schedule 1 on a federal level. The feds at any point can still come in and kick in everybody's door and arrest everybody and take...
Right. Yeah, so I am aware of that. That's horrible.
So they're not going to do it, obviously. There's not enough jails for everybody, but that's not good for investors. Investors don't invest in something if they can all go to jail.
Disappear.
So long story short, the marijuana industry, like a lot of it is based in over-the-counter stocks with Canadian companies that are providing, and then American companies that have storefronts to sell it. And they have different distribution channels via state, and each state made its own rules of how that has to go. So, and obviously that comes down to giving everybody lots of money, as you might imagine. So, what we're waiting on is, and the reason I invested in the market, and I don't care that my market share is down, is because that should go up massively as soon as it's not Schedule 1. And the government, the federal government, has said from both parties that they don't want it to be Schedule 1. It could be Schedule 2 or 3 or whatever, but not like heroin, cocaine, and marijuana. It needs to come down from there. That was racist legislation. That was a reactionary response a long time ago, and everybody agrees it has to change. But when you go to change the law in America, everybody likes to chime in, and it makes it take a really long time. And with investors, they don't like that, so they're not right now wanting to bite in the marijuana investment. It's not hot anymore. Every time they talk about it, it gets there again. But we're waiting on this descheduling of marijuana.
Right.
It's my retirement, so I don't really care. I don't need that money right now. And I wouldn't sell it whether it was high or low. But the overall point is just that I'm waiting on this to be descheduled so much that I've bet everything on it, on my side. I've basically bet that the United States is going to deschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1, and that benefit will ripple out to the marijuana companies here.
All over the world. All over the world it will ripple out.
That's right. So
but I believe it's going to happen too.
Yeah. I certainly hope so, because it will mean that people right now, it's dangerous. They're keeping millions of dollars in cash because you can't bank with it. So these guys are at mercy of sometimes mobsters and organizations that if you can't protect this money, then they can get to it. This is a real challenge.
Yeah.
How do you hire a guy, a botanist, who gets paid $200,000 a year, and you got to pay this guy with a suitcase full of cash? And it's not just that one guy. You got to have a lab. You know what it takes to make this stuff. You need a team. You need, it's a whole group. You're going to pay everybody cash and buy everything cash. It's not good for your market share.
True.
So I'm excited to see the changes coming, but they are just beginning. I think that we're really just at the beginning of seeing what this can do, and its effects are different now that they're centrifuging out I presume that's what they do. They're isolating the terpenes and things. What do you? I know you were one of the first people to talk to me about terpenes and terpene profiles.
I feel like terpenes are the most healing part of the cannabis plant, more than THC, more than CBD, but the actual terpenes, the pure natural terpenes, and the different ones, they all heal different things, those terpenes. And it's like every time since the very first time I smoked and I smelled the cannabis, there were certain perfumes coming off of it that I really liked smelling this. And then other ones I didn't like as much. And so every time I smoked cannabis from a smell, from a terpene that I really liked the way it made me feel too.
So you think you can get it by smell? If it smells good, it's probably good for you.
No, smell and taste. But that's the terpene, smell and taste. And if that terpene is the right terpene that you need for whatever you're going through, it makes you feel great. And I like it on the cannabis, not really isolated away from the cannabis, but on the cannabis, on the rosin. You know what I mean? I like to taste those terpenes on the rosin.
Do you think you get
water hash isolator, because that doesn't have any heat when it's made, even has more terpenes than the rosin.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
The rosin has some heat when it's made, but the water hash has no heat, so that's the most terpene-rich medicine, and that's actually my favorite thing to smoke.
Water hash
is a full melt isolator from the right strain.
Okay. Yeah, for that you don't want to use this because that's going to make some gunk build up in here, right?
Yeah. You can't use that. Rosin's much better for that kind of pipe.
Mm-hmm. So you'd want to use a pipe like you have there, like a honey straw.
Well, no, that's for the rosin. I use a pipe with a screen, a glass pipe with a screen with really nice straw.
Okay, like normal hash, similar to regular hash. Okay.
Yeah, and then I have a good screen in there with a lot of fine mesh. And then I use a torch, gas torch, and it melts like into water in the first few puffs.
So I have a similar rig. I keep it in my fridge. So it's like already cold with cold water. So I break it up.
But you don't see that kind of water hash there right now?
Not so commonly, but every now and then. So my prescription is for 6,000, basically 65 grams, but it's weirdly renews after 70 days. They made the laws to where you got to be an accountant to know how much weed you can get. Another thing I can't wait to change. It's difficult. So I always run out of my limits. They're always like, oh no, you can't have any more weed. Because I'll smoke a couple grams of this a day on a casual day. And if I'm really rocking and rolling, then 4 or 5 grams, I'll smoke. So
and they count the rosin by the gram the same way as weed.
Well, kind of. They count it based on grams of THC, but this is almost pure THC. So this is like 80-something% THC. So this is 4 grams of rosin. It's going to be more than 3 grams of THC. So it's going to start counting heavily against my allotment. And I'm going to go through it before I reach their 70-day renewal. So I'm always...
That sucks, brother. They got to change that.
Oh, I know. I agree.
That's not right.
I agree.
That's not enough freedom.
You think that's bad? Getting to this point, I had a doctor milk me for money. The doctor would increase it little bit by little bit to where I could just get another couple grams every 70 days. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, and charge me $100 every time. And I'm like, this is just unethical. And when I said that, they dropped me as a patient, said, we don't want to see you anymore. And I was like,
no, but you can't even speak up.
Yeah, you don't dare speak up.
It's always like that. It's always like that with this stuff.
And I said that when they
speak up and you can't.
I said that when we were talking about going medical, because I was against the idea of medical because I wanted total legalization. I said should be medical. It should just be legal. And
right.
But I realized that was an impossible vehicle, and I'm glad we have it medical versus not at all. So at least that's possible.
Yes, I know that feeling.
But the fact that this is in the hands of the doctors is extremely frustrating. And of course, even though I know doctors who are great people, you can't just go to any doctor. You got to go to a doctor that's got a marijuana dispensary license. Not dispensary license, but I mean one to dispense marijuana. And I'm like, this is what we get in governance. This is supposed to be government by the people. Who wanted this? Who was it that's like, don't let Bill have some weed sometime, but not regularly and not when he needs it. We'll just decide.
Yeah.
And here's the amount. Who thought that was how is that government by the people? That's some people making life difficult
and
for
how
others.
would they go for any other medicine? Where like a medicine that's proven to really help you with whatever you need to help with,
Yeah.
and you can't get enough. How would that happen with any other pharmaceutical medicine that you get a prescription for? How would you not be allowed to get enough medicine to actually help you because you needed too much, more than they thought? Like,
Heaven forbid you lose it or somebody steal it from you or something. Are you going to go back in and be, you wouldn't be like, hey, I lost my insulin. You know, it fell out of the car when it was moving or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, too bad you don't get insulin. You know,
Right. It's not fair the way it's structured. It's not equal.
No, but thankfully we're a good network. People who make resources like yourself, and I know you know about this. There's always a way, and consequently, this is when I get to smoke this isolator hash because I have gotten it a few times, and that's why I know it really messes up my Puffco.
Yeah, right.
Because I get it, and I'll get a little bit lazy, and I'll still throw it in there, and I'll just dedicate to cleaning afterwards.
You get a good puff from it in there.
Oh yeah, it's so nice. Oh, it hits like a champ when you do. But yeah, you spend half the time high cleaning that thing back out.
Yeah, after it cools off. Yeah.
I love talking with you, Soma. We should do this more often.
Yes. This is nice you're doing this, man. I like it.
Yeah.
And I like hearing that Florida is making progress since those long ago days when I lived there. I moved away from there in 1991.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much better than 1991. Oh man. In fact, when I look at getting my previous conviction from the 90s overturned, even the attorneys keep going, hey, we can get everything fixed now. And then they're like, oh, you were in the 90s? They were like, man, those were hard times. Like, people look back and just go, oh, even the lawyers, they're like, that was difficult.
They were fucked up times, man, in Florida. Those times.
Everywhere in the U.S. You know, I
moved to Oregon because Oregon had better cannabis laws.
Yeah.
So I moved there from Florida, and I spent 5 years in Oregon before I moved to Amsterdam.
So, do you ever think about moving back? You ever think about doing a dispensary or something in Florida or working with partners to do it?
Well, people ask me stuff like that, but
I imagine daily.
Not yet. I mean that place is too. The United States is too fragile right now. I hope not where you are, but where I see it from here, like looking at Facebook and Instagram and the internet, and it looks fragile.
Oh,
it looks fragile. Are you still there? Is it still good?
Yeah, we're still good, but one of my cameras died, but I've got a second one. I just need to clear this one out. I see. Yamaha Droid Cam. Boom. Okay. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'm in another camera, but
How old are you now?
I'm 47.
47.
Yeah, I'm 47.
And if you turn those numbers around?
74. That's you?
That's me. Yeah.
Soma, you always seem younger every year. I don't know how you manage to do it. You got some kind of Benjamin Button.
Well, I got fake teeth now, but I don't have them in now. I don't have any teeth in now because I have no more of my own teeth. But I got a nice set of fake teeth. But I didn't even put them in for this because mostly I like not wearing them.
Can you put it? Are they on theme? Can you get like fangs for Halloween and?
No, but I have 2 gold teeth in those.
For when you do rapping, right? I've seen you rapping online.
For when I do podcasts. So I started doing podcasts. I
Nice.
did the first 2 lately. They're not even up yet, but they come up soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see them. Yeah, when they come up, we'll link to them. We'll put a link to them down below. So if you want to see Soma's podcast,
I'll definitely link you to it.
Yeah.
And we got all the cameras and the lights and all the equipment that we need to do it right now.
Yeah, I like. Have you seen this thing called Droid Cam?
No.
So if you
about the technical parts, I don't know.
Well, Droid Cam's just some software, and if you use this, you can use your cell phone as a camera for with a computer. So
Droid Cam.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell my friend because I have friends that help me with all that part.
What's cool about that is like right now, for example, I had it set up as a supplemental camera because my camera on my phone obviously is a really good camera. It's like better than the one that's going to be in the corner of the other video. So I had it set up in the corner with using Droid Cam because they put awesome cameras in your phone. You might as well get to use it, right? It's probably better than any camera anybody's got, whatever you got on your latest iPhone or whatever. You know, so you might as well use it for the podcast. Those cameras are great.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
And then it's cheap for like a couple bucks. You know, there's what the software costs. It's like $5 or something. And then and it's free if you don't need the high definition version, but you want the high def, obviously. And then you know, then you got an awesome other camera that doesn't cost you but $5. So.
And when's your birthday again?
My birthday is July 27th.
Oh yeah, you're a Leo too.
Yeah, we're both Leos.
Yeah. I love Leos. I always like when somebody tells me they're a Leo. I got a soft spot for Leos. You know? Yeah. I know a lot of Leos too. Like it doesn't surprise me that you're a Leo and I forgot, but that's because I connect with a lot of Leos doing all kinds of different stuff. I do.
Yeah, we're really defined.
I have my birthday.
Yeah,
same birthday.
We all think we're like heads of state. We've all got our own like little kingdoms defined. Yeah. So, I know that today's been a hectic day. But we'll have you back on the podcast if you want to come back on again and talk about some other hot button issues.
I'll even wear my fake teeth next time and look a little bit younger.
We love you no matter what you wear, Soma.
I love you
just the way you are. Yeah.
I love you.
It's really great to see you again. I'm looking forward to my next visit to Amsterdam soon.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too, my friend. You too. Namaste.
Namaste.